Hey friends, it's Amber here. I want to do an update. I know it's been a hot minute, but I'm just going to jump right in today. No fancy stuff, no editing. First things first, we got our genetic testing results back on July 31st. As you may have seen in the last video, if you watched it, there were 2 embryos that we had make it to day 5 for the biopsy and freeze. Those results came back on the 31st. The first embryo, we're testing for 2 specific genetic mutations. One of them is FAP, which is familial adenomatous polyposis, and the other one is the BRCA2 mutation, which if you've heard of the breast cancer gene, that's BRCA1. BRCA2 is a similar type of thing, but from the research I've done, it's much more severe even than the BRCA1. So so those are the 2 that we are testing for. The first embryo came back as normal for the FAP, but abnormal for the BRCA2. The second embryo came back as abnormal for both. So where that leaves us is that we are starting over from scratch. We have to start all over with another retrieval. And as far as how that went, how we processed that, Jason actually, I think, took it harder than I did, which I was kind of surprised by. He seemed a lot more disappointed, whereas I was kind of just expecting that with only sending off 2, that both of them would probably have one or the other at least. So he had said the night before we got the results that he was expecting we would have one of the 2 that was normal, and that wasn't the case. So, so I think it was kind of a disappointment. I think for me, my mind was just kind of already settled on that, so I wasn't thrown off too much by it. I did contact the clinic once I got the results. I contacted CNY and kind of discussed with my favorite nurse there. I asked her what we could do. There was a protocol we had discussed before when we had that failed retrieval cycle. There was a protocol that came up at the time we had canceled the retrieval of priming with Omnitrope, which is human growth hormone. And so I just wanted to ask her a little bit more information about that and find out really if that was truly the best protocol for us, because the Omnitrope was not cheap. Thankfully, our insurance has covered a lot of our medications. So we've had like a $40 payment for each medication, most of them anyways, as opposed to paying full price. So that's been fantastic and saved us a ton of money so far. But the Omnitrope was going to be like $700 for a 1-month supply, which was how long they were wanting me to do it. And my insurance would not cover it because it was an off-label use, since I don't have a diagnosis of like human growth hormone deficiency or whatever. And that's the only thing they would cover it for. So, $700 out of pocket just for one medication on top of everything else that we're paying for, and another trip to New York and all of that stuff. It just seemed really expensive, and my husband was just kind of not having it. So I called just to double check and see if that was really what they thought would be the miracle thing for me. And when I talked to Donna about it at length and asked her more questions, what it kind of came down to is that the Omnitrope is most beneficial for women who have poor egg quality. Now, I did have the 12 eggs retrieved at the last retrieval and only 4 fertilized. So my initial thought was, well, maybe that's why they're suggesting this for me, because maybe it was a egg quality issue that the majority of the 12 didn't fertilize. Well, when I kind of asked Donna and she was looking into my file, what she had seen noted was that actually the majority of the eggs they had retrieved were not yet mature. They were behind. They were kind of at that point where it's like, well, they're mature enough that we should go ahead and take them, but they're not so mature that they can really be fertilized. They're kind of in that gray area. So that didn't seem to be, from our discussions, didn't seem to be an egg quality issue. Might have been a little bit, but mostly seemed to be about timing and the fact that we just triggered too soon. Even though they still had delayed it by a day, that just wasn't enough time for those extra eggs to really ripen up, I guess. So, so we kind of settled on a hybrid kind of mid-ground protocol that we could all feel good about, me, the nurse, the doctor, and Jason, my husband. So what we ended up doing for this coming cycle is we are priming with estrogen for a week, and then after we finish the estradiol, we will start the omnitrope, and we'll do that for 1 vial instead of 2 vials, which is about 15, 16 days instead of the 30, 31 days. So it's half the price, which is great, but we're still getting some of the benefits of that. And the other thing that we're doing is we're going to be monitoring my follicle sizes a lot more closely in this next cycle. And so if we notice that my body does the same thing that it did before, where it had 1 or 2 follicles that were way ahead of all the other ones, we're just gonna postpone the retrieval and the trigger a few more days and risk losing those 2 that are ahead for the greater good of getting more of those other eggs or follicles to kind of ripen up and mature. So that's kind of the plan at this point. I just started the estrogen yesterday. So far, no side effects, obviously. It's pretty early yet. Don't read, if you have anxiety, don't read the side effects of estrogen before you start taking it, because I started reading the list and it was kind of overwhelming. Then I was like, okay, yeah, I can't keep reading this because I'll freak myself out. But started that. I will be taking this until Wednesday, I don't know what day that is. My brain's like, but I'll be taking that for about a week, and then I start the Omnitrope, which is an injectable HGH medication, and then I'll take that until I finish the vial. So I'm feeling hopeful that maybe this protocol, even the nurse that I spoke to, she said, given what we saw last cycle, if that's kind of true to how your body works, I really think that this may be the best protocol for you. So I'm hopeful that that's the case, and that we can really get a decent number of embryos out of this next retrieval to increase the likelihood of us actually having a genetically tested normal baby embryo. So as far as how things are going in our life outside of IVF, we are renovating. What you see, this wall behind me has changed colors. We have been painting and doing flooring and all of that stuff. My counseling job is, I don't know if I've ever said that on here, but I am a therapist, at least I have been, and my supervisor is actually leaving counseling, so it just kind of everything seemed to be pointing to the fact that this was a good time for me to exit the counseling field, at least temporarily. So at the end of this month, I will be no longer seeing clients. And I'm actually like kind of sad about that because I love my clients, but I'm also really excited because I think that this is going to be a good thing for us and our future. And what I'll be doing once I'm not counseling is I'll just be working on this renovation full time as if this were my job. So I'm kind of excited about that. It's just something new, and yeah, I look forward to seeing how that goes. I'll share with you guys once we have some more progress. Things are just really a disaster right now. There's boxes everywhere that we still haven't unpacked. It's a mess. But thanks for following along with my journey. I've had some new people kind of hop on over to my Instagram account and say, hey, I found you on YouTube, and just kind of chat with me on there. That's been really nice. So thank you to you guys and the new subscribers. I appreciate y'all. I hope that everybody's having a great August, and I look forward to catching up with you guys a little bit later once cycle day 1 comes and we have more information about the protocol, and specifically kind of where we're at with timeline for retrieval. Until then, take care, guys. I will chat with y'all later. Bye.